Things started. Um, Thank you for participating in our success series of how to build a high performance team. We've covered a lot over the last few sessions. Today, I wanted to talk briefly about. We're not going to have a full session today, but I did want to talk briefly about and give some food for thought to as we look at building our teams. What are some of the tools necessary to make sure that we're doing what we need to do? Hiring someone is always a challenge, whether it's for someone to do something personally for you around your house, or a gardener, or a plumber, roofer, someone who cleans your windows or cleans your house, whatever. It's always a careful study of uh, who that person is and how they're going to fit or integrate into the project that you have in mind. And when you're looking at building a team or being a team lead, and actually building and growing your team, there are certain processes that exist in the same way. We call those the right inputs, right? Making sure that the three basic inputs are being used, and they are really basic. The inputs are the task, the group, and the environment. So when you think about it, are you hiring? You've identified the task, the thing that needs to be done, and that's an essential input. So as you look at building and growing and developing a team, am I hiring for the right thing? Why am I looking to hire a teammate? Do I need someone to assist me with my overflow of buyers? Do I need someone to assist me from an administrative standpoint? Is it just that I need someone to help me transactionally, so that I can make sure that my files are being cared for, things like that? But when you're looking at hiring for more than just an administrative person, it's that non-negotiable right task. Am I hiring a buyer's agent who is proficient and familiar with real estate concepts and negotiation strategies and tactics in order to successfully secure a transaction that will facilitate a close and make my buyers happy, right? So, right task. And then along with the right task goes the right person or the right group, right? Is the person that I'm looking to hire the best person for the job or the right person for the job? We all have different skills and abilities, and our skills and abilities are not necessarily equal. If you may be good at one thing and not as proficient in another thing, and that same may be true. Like, let's take cooking for example. I can make a mean steak, but if you ask me to bake a cake, it might not be so good, right? And vice versa. You could be a great baker and maybe not so much of a great cook. So they're not uniformly uh, the same. So making sure that you're hiring that right individual with the right skill set and abilities, and is contributing in the right way with the right knowledge, and the right attitudes is killer. It's crucial as you look at growing, developing, and designing your business. So it's that right task. Why am I hiring this person, or what am I hiring for? And who is that person I am looking for to complete this task? And it's got to be the right environment as well. So, what do I mean when I say the right environment? The right environment is, what's going on in the market. Is now the right time for me to grow and develop my team, or can I get along with the team that I have, if I in fact have a team, and look at opportunities of retraining, regrowth, things like that, um, up leveling their skills to where they're a more effective and contributing team member. Um, is there enough diversity in my team? And I don't mean just racially or gender based or anything like that. I'm literally talking about from a skill perspective. Are we just a one trick pony and all of us focus on the same thing, or do I have some of my team members focus on new buyers or buyers who are downsizing, right? We have to look at the various different business lines that we can focus our business on and ask, do we have enough diversity? Do we have enough healthy skills across the board to create effective performance? So it's those three things: the right task. What is the thing that I'm trying to accomplish? Who is the right person to accomplish this thing? And is it the right environment for this thing to be accomplished? So it's these three things. And again, you've heard me talk a lot about process. Everything has a lot to do with process as we look at up leveling our skills and being better real estate practitioners. And particularly when we're looking at growth, we're always talking about that number one thing that affects everybody. I don't care who you are, where you are at the stage in your career, but it's that open communication piece. How are we listening to others, and how are we sharing information with those people that we're listening to? Listening, by the way, I'm sure you've all heard this a million times, is the number one thing, right? We like to talk. Sometimes we like to hear the sound of our own speech, but we don't often listen. Even when we're not talking, sometimes we're not actually taking in the information that others are sharing with us because we're already thinking about a rebuttal or how that we want to counter to whatever was shared with us. Okay. Are we participatory? Again, being present, being involved in the moment kind of goes along with that open communication piece. We want to build involvement, inclusiveness, ownership in any team that we grow. That buy-in of those things is what creates a strong team and actually creates retention inside of your organizational framework, right? Inside of your individual team. So, be but participatory. That involves you, that involves your team. You want to get that buy-in of ownership, right? Even though it may be your vision as the team leader, that buy-in of your team as this is my team, I have ownership, I help to shape and scope the direction that it's going, right? It leads to that next point, which is consensus building. We all want to get to this same thing. It helps us to shape that common goal and establish a more uniform approach as we look at doing that. It allows us to goal set, right? As we're looking at doing all these things, if we're not setting goals, we got to ask ourselves, what are we really doing? If I'm not really setting goals, what am I really doing? Is there enough accountability across the board to where we're holding each other accountable mutually, and that, of course, individual accountability. As we goal set, there's got to be accountability. I said I was going to do this thing, and I did this thing. Those things have to happen. Those are immutable changes that have to occur. If you set a goal, that goal has to be either accomplished, adjusted, or removed, right? It's either a doable thing, it's a difficult thing that may not be able to be accomplished in a time frame that we set it out to be, or it's something that can't be accomplished at all for various reasons, right? So there has to be that level of accountability. And if we decide at some point we don't necessarily agree with the task that's assigned, we can have organized disagreement, which is a different viewpoint is not the worst thing, but it goes back to that listening and participating, which is open communication is all about listening and sharing, giving back to others. And sometimes those things don't align. Sometimes we just need to talk it out so that the differing point of views start to become less distant to each other and align more with the goal. Okay, because execution is everything, right? And that's part of that thing that we've talked about quite a bit, which is style diversity. I mentioned earlier about there's got to be enough diversity on your team. Sometimes we just come at it from a different way, but the same goal is the foundation. So, be okay with a little bit of style diversity as you're looking at growing your team, but not to where it's going to be someone is going to just completely overrun you and you're going to be something else than what you originally designed out to be. Okay. Innovation is that other thing. As we look at growing and developing, how are we innovating? Is someone coming on board to your team and bringing new, fresh ideas that might benefit everyone in the long run? Being open to those kinds of things. That's what's called reflexivity. So all of those things are important as you're looking at growing and developing and managing your team. I'm not going to go very deeply into those things because it involves lifestyle models and things like that. But next week, when we pick back up, we're going to really dive into that right blend of teammates, and what creates that magic and how effective that may be for you. But what I will leave you with is have a very solid and effective week. Really kind of look at what's upcoming in your real estate community, in your environment. Make sure you're planning for next quarter, which means you're starting off with your business plan that includes, how you're going to build and grow and increase your revenue, from both a team perspective and from an income perspective. And we will take it up at our next session. Always, guys, thanks for spending a few minutes with me today, even though they're brief. And I will see everyone at the next session. Take care.